This video is guided practice for lesson 15 problem set. And I've split the problem set down into two videos. So this will just be the front side of the paper or the first 3 word problems. So our learning target for this problem set is we can solve word problems to find the perimeter of shapes with given side lengths. So we're going to be doing word problems that involve perimeter. And remember, whenever we do word problems, we want to use the read, draw, write process. So if you remember, that means read the problem and underline your notes. Then it means drawing a picture, which will be really important, writing a number sentence, and writing a target sentence. So those 4 steps we will be using to solve each one of these problems. So I'm going to start by reading the first problem, and then we will underline our knowns after we read it. Mrs. Coslow put a border around a 5-foot by 6-foot rectangular bulletin board. How many feet of border did Mrs. Coslow use? So my knowns are a 5-foot by 6-foot rectangular bulletin board. So now I can picture in my mind that I need a rectangle and it is 5 feet by 6 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle. That will be my picture. And then I need to label my side lengths. And those were my givens, 5 feet and 6 feet. So I'll go ahead and label those. And I want to label the shorter side with the shorter length. So the short side will be 5 feet and the long side will be 6 feet. And it's probably not a bad idea to label all 4 sides. We know the opposite sides on a rectangle are equal. We don't want, because we forget to label them, to include those side lengths when we calculate the perimeter. So I've labeled all 4 side lengths, remembering the opposite sides are equal. All right, so we've read the problem and underlined our knowns. We have drawn a picture and labeled it. Now we need a number sentence. And remember, we start our number sentences for a perimeter with a P equals. So capital P stands for perimeter. And remember, perimeter is the distance around a shape. So if I take my arrow here and trace around the shape, I have 5 feet plus 6 feet plus 5 feet plus 6 feet. So that's what my number sentence will be, 5 feet plus 6 feet. Whoops. Plus 6 feet plus 5 feet, and then plus 6 feet. So I have 4 sides to my shape, so I need 4 lengths to find my perimeter. I will add those up, and you can do it whatever way you want. Mentally, I might do 5 feet and 6 feet is 11, and 5 feet and 6 feet is 11, and 11 plus 11 equals 22 feet. So the perimeter of that rectangular bulletin board would be 22 feet. Now you could certainly put your 5 and 5 together and get 10, and your 6 and 6 together and get 12, and get 10 plus 12 equals 22 feet. There's actually another number sentence that you could write, which some of you might prefer. So I'm just going to put a big or here, and we'll write a second number sentence. Remember, I see 2 5s and I see 2 6s. So I could use some multiplication, and this might be a little shorter for some of you. So I could write P equals, and in parentheses put 2 groups of 5 feet, and then add to that, I have 2 6s. So in my second set of parentheses, I would put 2 groups of 6 feet. And I would still get the same answer, because 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 6 is 12, 10 plus 12 is 22 feet. So that's really your choice, boys and girls, as to which number sentence you prefer to use. And I would use the one that you are most comfortable using. All right, we've written our number sentence. Our last step is to write a target sentence. So it says, how many feet of border did Mrs. Coslow use? We will write, she used 22 feet of border. And remember, boys and girls, it is really important to always dress up your numbers when you're dealing with perimeter, just like you did with area. So make sure you use units and use the correct units. All right, let's move on to question or word problem 2. Jason built a model of the Pentagon for a social studies project. He made each outside wall 33 centimeters long. What is the perimeter of Jason's model Pentagon? So remember, a pentagon means 5, and Mrs. Reed likes to show her work and keep her work organized. And then, okay, it's a pentagon. It has 5 sides. So I put a 5 above there. And he made each outside wall 33 centimeters long. So each wall is 33 centimeters. My unknown is, what is the perimeter of Jason's model pentagon? So the first thing I'm going to do is draw a picture. Now that I've underlined my knowns, pentagon needs 5 sides. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's my 5 sides, and now I've got to label each side with the correct length, 33 centimeters. So I'm going to get a smaller font here, and you're going to have to write it kind of small, I think. So right here, 33 cm. I hope you can see that. And I will label each side with 33 cm, so you should do the same as well. And now I'm thinking about what number sentence I can write to find the perimeter of that shape. Well, as I go around it, I would add 33 plus 33 plus 33 plus 33 plus 33. So my number sentence would be P equals 33, and let's dress up our numbers, centimeters, plus, and you're going to do that 5 times for the 5 sides. So go ahead and write your number sentence. And when I'm done writing all those, I'm going to go back and count and just make sure that I do have 5 lengths there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, now I've got to show my work. So it's hard for me to do that mentally. So what I'm going to do is over here on the side, I'm going to do an algorithm, and I'm going to take 33 and 33 and add it. And now I can do that mentally. That's 66. So that's 2 33s there. Okay, and then if I do that again, I'll get 66 again, and then I will have 4 33s, but I need 5. So now I can start counting my 33s. Another thing you can do, boys and girls, is you can take parentheses and put them around your numbers here. So 33 and 33, and put above it your 66. And you're just showing your thought process here. And then your next 33 and 33, put a parentheses, and above that you can put your 66. So now we still need to add 66 plus 66 plus 33. So I'm going to do one more algorithm. And I'm going to put 3 numbers in this one, 66 and 66 and 33. And that will add all my sides up. Okay, 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 3 more is 15. It's the same as 5 ones and 1 10. And then I'll add my 10. 6 plus 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13, plus 3 more is 16. So my answer would be 165 centimeters. I'm just going to write that in with my pencil. Okay. Next year, you would learn how to write a number sentence like P equals 5 times 33 centimeters, and you would learn how to do that double-digit multiplication. And that's something you have to look forward to in 4th grade. That's why it's important that you know your multiplication facts. All right, I'm still missing my target sentence. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to answer the question, what is the perimeter of Jason's model pentagon? The perimeter of his model is 165 centimeters. And I'm just going to stretch that out here so it's all in one sentence. There we go. All right, so read, draw, write. We read the problem. We underlined our knowns. We identified that a pentagon has 5 sides. We drew our picture, 5-sided object, labeled the sides, wrote our number sentence, and wrote our target sentence. All right. So let's go on to the next word problem. I'm going to clear all of my drawings here. Okay, and we'll go on to the last one on this side. Remember, I said I'm going to do 2 videos for this. All right. This says, the Holmes family plants a rectangular 8-yard by 9-yard vegetable garden. How many yards of fencing do they need to put a fence around the garden? So perimeter and fences, fences are really a real world use of perimeter. The skill perimeter it is probably one of the most common ways you would use perimeter, to put a fence around a yard. So that's exactly what the Holmes family is doing in this word problem. They're planting a rectangular 8-yard by 9-yard vegetable garden, and they want to put a fence around it, probably to keep animals out. Right? They need to know how many yards of fencing do they need to put around their garden. They're probably going to the store. So the first thing I'm going to do, now that I've underlined my knowns, I'm picturing a rectangular garden. And so a rectangular garden is going to be in the shape of a rectangle. So I need my picture, and I will draw a rectangle. And it's an 8-foot or 8-yard by 9-yard garden. So I'm going to go ahead and label my side lengths. You can label yours as well. Remember, it's important to label the shorter side with the shorter length. So 8 yards is smaller than 9 yards. So I'm going to make sure I put 8 yards here and 9 yards on the longer side. All right, so that gives me an idea of what the fence around the garden would look like. And now I need to write a number sentence. So why don't you guys go ahead and write your number sentence first. Start with P equals. There's a couple that you can write. Okay, so I'm going to show you both number sentences, and we'll see which one you chose to use. One is not necessarily better than the other. It's a matter of personal preference. The first number sentence I'm going to write is, remember, perimeter is the distance around a shape. So I'm just going to add up all of these distances for the 4 sides. So the perimeter of that shape would be P equals 9 yards plus 8 yards plus 9 yards plus 8 yards. And then we would add that up and we would get our total. All right, so how do you do that? Well, it's really up to you. Maybe you take the 9 and the 8 and put those together, and you can show that by using a set of parentheses. Okay. And then above that, I would probably put my thinking. So 9 and 8 is 17. And so now I know I'm adding 17 and 17. And you can do that with an algorithm on the side of your page. Mrs. Reed did it mentally. My total will be 34 yards. So that is certainly one number sentence we could write, but perhaps you wrote a different number sentence. And if you did, I'm guessing this is the one you used. Maybe you decided you saw some numbers that were repeated and you said, I can use repeated addition. So you might have used a parentheses and said, I have 2 groups of 9 yards. And then I can add to that my 2 groups of 8 yards to represent the other 2 sides. Remember, every number in a number sentence represents something in your picture. Well, Mrs. Reed is having a hard time with that today. There we go. All right, and now I can put my numbers above here to show my thinking. So 2 times 9 is 18. That represents the 2 sides that were 9 yards long. 2 times 8 is 16. That represents the 2 sides that were 8 yards long. And now I'm going to add those 2 numbers, 18 and 16. And you can certainly do your algorithm on the side of the page. And you would get 34 yards doing it this way. well, because 18 plus 16 is 34 yards. Okay. If you were in class, I'd poll you and see which way each student preferred to do that. I would love to know that. But neither is better than the other. Again, it's personal preference. All right, we read the problem, we underlined our knowns, we drew a picture and we labeled it. We wrote a number sentence. Actually, we wrote 2 number sentences, and now we need a target sentence. So I'm going to read that question back to myself so I know how to answer it. How many yards of fencing do they need to put a fence around the garden? I'm going to answer that with a complete sentence. They need 34 yards of fencing. Period. All right, boys and girls, those are the first 3 word problems on your lesson 15 problem set. Check out my next video to see guided instruction of the last 3 problems.